Welcome back to the Burger and Fry podcast, where we take our select choice basket of fries and sprinkle them with the salt of our questions. So let's introduce these choice fries. Cody, a community ecologist, has years of studying the jungles of South America, searching and documenting hundreds of species, and Dalton, a biologist who specializes in ecosystem ecology. So how does it feel to be back?
It's great to be back on the show. I kind of miss it here. It's always great to be back, though.
Yeah. It was really cool last time. I'm glad to be here again.
Yeah, always love a good burger, huh?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So, since last week, I challenged y'all to find, one of the strangest organisms in the world to tell me, and the viewers about. What did you find?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Me and Cody went looking around the world, and we decided to research the Rafflesia plant that lives in the Philippines and Malaysia. What's interesting about this plant is that it's not only a parasite, but it's also a complicated species, and it's the world's largest flower.
What?
Yeah, so like Dalton said, we found this plant called the Rafflesia, and it's a really interesting plant because, let me just get into the parasitic relationship it has. So
Parasite?
Yeah, it's really.
I thought you said this was a flower, bro.
It is. It's really really weird. So basically, like Dalton said, it's the biggest flower in the world. But what makes it a parasite is the fact that it has no base, it has no flowers. It literally lives off this one plant or this one vine. It's called a tetrastigma, right? Mm-hmm. So what this thing does is it kind of grows off of it. Even multiple of these Rafflesia can grow off of one vine, and the ones that break past the up layer of the vine, they end up starting to actually live and grow.
Yeah, and tetrastigma vines are like grapevines, right?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. So what these vines are, since they're connected to, what the Rafflesia is since it's connected to this vine, that's where it gets its nutrients. So that's what makes it a parasite.
No chlorophyll.
No.
Yeah.
No.
This thing doesn't
Nothing.
get energy from the sun. It's
straight
up from the vine.
It's straight up just a parasite. So it gets everything from this vine when it gets in its nutrients. Water, sunlight, any nutrient it takes up, anything, and it just completely gets everything it has from here. And the thing is about this plant, what else makes it so interesting is the way it reproduces at the same time. Over billions of years, this Rafflesia plant has literally adapted to look and to smell and to mimic the heat of a dead animal.
Wait, didn't you say reproduction? 2
Yeah.
seconds ago?
Yeah, so the thing is with this is obviously let me just ask you, if you find something dead, what's all over it?
Flies.
Exactly. So the thing is these flies, which just prey on dead organisms and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they lay their eggs in there, right?
Right. So they they have the heat that they see from the plant. The plant itself kind of looks like some kind of rotting flesh or somewhat like that. And the smell they get from it, they're like, oh, hey, look, there's a dead animal.
This is a dead animal.
Exactly.
I'm going to lay my eggs in.
What they do is they go over to the plant. And the thing is, yes, the Rafflesia doesn't have any, base to it, but it has a little interior part in it. And in this interior part, they have kind of these little spikes. And what these spikes have all over them are pollen. So when the fly goes in there, because they're attracted to the smell and the heat and whatnot, to find something, they go in there, they get covered in pollen, and, eventually they find out, hey, there's nothing here for us to eat. So then they fly out, and hopefully what happens is as they're flying, they spread the pollen, and it pollinates one of the female Rafflesia, and then you have a new Rafflesia that's pollinated that can grow and go on.
The flies, they go in there trying to find a place to lay their eggs, and they're like, oh, there's nothing in here.
Right.
But now pollen's on the back, so they go to a female Rafflesia plant,
right.
And it reproduces, so it's sexual reproduction.
Exactly. Yes,
okay.
It's
They don't just randomly spread throughout.
Right. That's part of what makes this plant so interesting and so kind of complicated.
Yeah, it's how does that live over billions of years if it has to have these exact flies to go through?
Right. Exactly. And the thing is, this plant is extremely rare at the same time. In the cases about that, why it's so rare is sadly, like I said, it's hopeful that we get that fly to pollinate a female Rafflesia, but a lot of the time that doesn't happen. That's part of why this is so rare, because it rarely like gets pollinated. You only find so many of these things.
So to recap, like, this is just a ginormous flower that infects these tetrastigma vines, steals their nutrients, and so it's a parasitic relationship.
Yeah,
But then flies come in, and they're Rafflesia, and that's a commensalist relationship.
Exactly. Yes. You
So
just
it's
took
like
words
the
right out of my
flies
mouth.
not benefiting; they're just flying around trying to find somewhere to
Exactly.
lay. And the Rafflesia gets to reproduce.
Exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. I wouldn't have said it any different.
So you know how we were talking about how like the symbiotic relationships between the Rafflesia plant and all these other things, or like commensalist or like parasitist, or whatever you want to say. It got me wondering, if parasitism is like when one animal benefits and one is negatively affected, does that mean that it's parasitism when one organism dies and a plant benefits from its nutrients?
Okay, so that's actually a really good question, and I'm glad you asked because it's really interesting. So what makes a relationship is like it's almost kind of like a two-way street, you know. The way it kind of works is like it's like both kind of take something from a certain relationship.
So it's like interspecific relationship.
Yeah. So just to add to what Dalton was saying, like yeah, it's not really like a relationship. It's just like an environmental chance. In fact, like this would be an example of something called the nutrient cycle, which is the cycling of nutrients in an environment. So like you have your nutrients like carbon, phosphorus, and nitrogen, right? So these can be in the soil, and these nutrients can get taken up by plants and whatnot. And then those plants are eaten by animals, so then those nutrients go to the animals. And then those animals can breathe out air, or they can die, and when they do, they're decomposed, and all those nutrients they were carrying can return back to the plants that are in the soil as well. So it's just distributing nutrients in an environment.
Yeah, it's just like nutrients going through different things that happen.
Exactly.
And they just get always down in the
Right,
same circle.
exactly.
But it's always just random. You never know where the nutrients from a bone are going to go after it hits that soil.
Exactly. It's not like a relationship. It's just a natural process.
So yeah, like nutrients don't have relations because
They're nutrients. Yeah.
That makes sense. Alright, so like for my final question, it's like I know in like an ecosystem, usually all these animals rely on this one keystone species. And for the viewer, a keystone species is like one like animal type that all other animals rely on, whether it be a predator relationship, a ecosystem environment changing relationship, or like a mutualistic relationship. All these species rely on this one for them all to function. It's really an in-depth topic, but we'll get there. So my question, as I'm getting back to this, is the Rafflesia a keystone species?
So this is a good question. Within that larger ecosystem, I wouldn't say they're like a keystone species. Now they could be if they affected more organisms. However, they only affect the tetrastigma vine, and because they're only parasitic, you know, they only have like a select diet to tetrastigma vines.
Yeah.
Like they're very picky eaters,
Yeah.
you know.
So they're only destroying this one type of vine.
Yeah.
And everything else is just, all right.
It's all right, but if it were to affect the whole load of things, if it were to affect a lot of different plants and stuff, it would. I mean, you could consider it a keystone species because it would be destroying everything. But
yeah, like different bugs living in dead logs that the tetrastigma. Dang it! Sorry, my bad. The Rafflesia killed.
Yeah. However, within ecosystem ecology, though, you can always kind of change the size of an ecosystem. Like if you're looking for a certain scale on how big you want an ecosystem to be or how small you want it to be. So depending on where you go, the Rafflesia can actually be a keystone species if you're looking at it close enough, and that's because of the effect it has on tetrastigma vines and
Yeah, it's like the Rafflesia is like limiting the population of these vines, and so it's like I guess like a dead tree with bugs would live in it, or different things.
Yeah.
All right, so that was really freaking interesting. You would have thought like this ginormous plant could be a parasite. I mean, that's actually insane.
Yeah.
That and it smells like a dead body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love eating roadkill.
Not exactly appetizing.
So now, here's the biggest question, of course, man. What's the best side dish for a burger?
Dude, it's either gotta be them salty fries or those beautiful potato chips, man. Come on.
For me, it has to be either a pickle or a nice side of sweet potato fries, you know?
Me, I'm on top of the hill. Really burger enthusiast, man. The hot dang fries, it's peak, bro.